Alright, so I'm just giving this a little try here. Probably the sound isn't the greatest, or the view. I apologize. So I wanted to start doing some videos kind of explaining my life on the regular. It's a pretty weird start for a video series, I guess. Here I am painted up, wearing a hood and some redneck cut-off nonsense. Anyway, so what I'm doing is I'm actually heading to a show. Not a rock show. I'm heading to a wrestling show that I've done for about, I think we're going on 10 years, here in September. I can't remember if it's already hit or not. I'm going to have to double check that. But I know it's in and around 9 or 10 years. I've been doing this stuff ever since I was like 17. Backyard wrestling, working with a few buddies of mine that prompted me once when I was over at my cousin's, staying over for a weekend or summer. I can't remember which it was. But anyway, so we do this every week. We do a little show here and there, just a few matches. And then every month we have a big show. This is not our big show. We just did a big show last weekend, which I'm still pretty sore from. And that was our final technical show for the year. So that was our cursed event. Everything always goes wrong. Something always goes wrong. And in fact, the person I was supposed to be wrestling that day ended up getting hit in the head with the back end of, I think, a pickaxe or a hatchet. They were trying to hammer something into the ground pretty stupidatively with what was a dry rotted hatchet or something. Hit the dude in the head and he couldn't really compete, so we had to rewrite the whole show. But this is our weekly stuff that just is not really a big deal. And with that Anarchy stuff, Anarchy Coliseum is our cursed event. That's the one we just had. That's our last show. We've moved the date and everything, and it still just keeps happening. It's always cursed. It's always cursed. Something goes wrong. Someone doesn't show up. Someone gets sick. Something gets screwed up. Nothing goes right on that show, ever. Nothing goes without a hitch. And a lot of our shows actually do go pretty decently. Usually nothing catastrophic happens, at least. I mean, we might have to change a couple things, but, you know, it is what it is. So, I kind of wanted to talk about, like, the looks I get. This is normal for me. You know, used to be every week. Every weekend I would go out and wrestle. It's not so much anymore. I've got a big family. I've got a lot going on. So I kind of do it when I can, especially with work allowing. It's not easy. But the looks I get are pretty great, in the reactions. I'll go to the gas station. People look at me kind of funny. It'll open up a conversation. What are you doing? Where are you going? You going to a show? Are you an ICP fan? You know, so on and so forth. And sometimes the reactions are great. I had a guy just like a couple weeks ago who started, like, you know, just kind of acting funny, giving me glances or whatever, and I'm like, all right, this is going to be weird. Here we go. The lady at the desk says something. He turned around and was like, oh, you better leave this guy alone here. Look at him, he's scary. He's like, I don't mean that offensively, actually. I like your paint. I think it looks cool. What are you doing? You going to wrestling or whatever? And then the lady chimes in, don't tell this guy. He'll show up every weekend with a beer and he'll harass you every weekend. And we had a pretty good interaction. It's those interactions are nice. Those are great. And then you've got other people who are like, what the hell? What are you, some kind of freak? This isn't Halloween. Well, of course it's not Halloween. This is my gimmick. I'm Adrian Hollow. Right now, I also play as a character called Bonkers, the clown. Bonkers is probably my longest running gimmick that I've had. I started out when I was 17 as a very strange kid. I was very obsessed with rap music and everything. So I used to wear a lot of baggy clothes, and I got caught up in that fad of small-time country kids dressing that way. Anyway, made no sense. So I started out as Three Step. It was a nickname from when I was like a younger kid. Did some stupid stuff. Three Step was my name, and then I got into the whole juggalo scene. So yes, I was a juggalo. I've even got the tattoos. I've got to get the stuff covered up. It looks pretty bad, as you can see there. That one's garbage. But anyway, so Three Step became Three Steps to Death, which I thought was so cool and so edgy. I had move sets and everything. Paint started with the clown paint. It was way too juggalo. Fast forward probably 2 or 3 years, I think, is where the change happened. I started, I think it was like 2 years. I started trying to refine that character. And I got to thinking, like, how do I change the name? What do I do with this? I started doing different paints and stuff like that. It was still Three Steps to Death. And then all of a sudden it just clicked, and I was like, oh, what are some different names for, crazy or insane? And Bonkers just popped into my head, and I'm like, I'll be Bonkers. That makes sense. It's creative. No one really has that name, I'm fairly certain. And so I started wearing clown paint. Still a little more juggalo-esque. I was trying and push it away from that direction, but it always comes back that way if you try to do anything different with clown paint. I mean, it is what it is. Even if you were just to wear regular old everyday, carnival clown makeup, you're gonna catch it. Not that I'm really offended by it or anything. I still appreciate those people. I still appreciate the music and everything. I just don't identify that way. Not that they're, like I said, there's anything wrong with being a juggalo or that lifestyle. But I just don't identify that way. And it just kind of bugs me sometimes that's the way my gimmick gets pulled. Up just maybe a year or two ago, I think. Maybe just about a year ago. Maybe 2. I don't really remember. I got pretty well over the whole, you're a backyard wrestler, you're trash, and so on and everything. Mind you, I've wrestled for a couple Indiana feds, semi-pro federations, and done some work with them for about probably 3 or 4 years, something like that, off and on. And yet it's still just kept happening. It is what it is. It's never going to die off. I mean, if you're a backyard wrestler, it comes with the grounds. You're going to get shit talked, and people are going to not let you live it down. It just happens that way. So I changed my direction and was like, well, let me go with this Viking-esque face paint that didn't really pan out too well, and this is kind of stuck. I kind of like this skull stuff for Adrian Hollow. I've always kind of liked Sleepy Hollow. That's where that name kind of come from. And for whatever reason, I always liked the name Adrian, even though it's a Rocky meme, if you will. Here I am, Adrian Hollow. Kind of this gimmick that everybody in our association isn't quite doing what they should be. I'm going to make some big changes. I've brought in this whole idea that, that there's the Church of the Hollow, and that people should join me and submit to my will, basically. So I'm really trying to play this heel aside up on things, and so I've got a match today that's supposed to tease back Bonkers into the whole situation, as they're supposed to be dual characters, just a psychological split between the two of them. And we are going to go from there, and I am pulling up on it right now. So with that, I'll kind of, we'll see how this goes, and I'll kind of play this out as we go along. We'll kind of tease in and out about, you know, how life's going, and, yeah. All right, well, feel free to leave any posts or comments. Let me know if you have any ideas or anything for paint. I'm always looking for new ideas for stuff. And you guys have a wonderful weekend, and can't wait for Halloween. See ya.